viewers of The Pioneer, how are you doing? I hope you're healthy and well. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring the developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. We will soon convey the latest developments to you with a map. The situation on the Donetsk front line is quite exciting. According to reports, the most intense residential neighborhood struggles of the two-year war has started these days. We see that especially the intense clashes around Avdiivka are remarkable. So, what is the latest situation on the front line? Let's take a look at developments together. As the Pioneer team, we continue to bring developments regarding the Russia-Ukraine war to your screens. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications so as not to miss our daily map reports and reports on the agenda. You can also support me and my hardworking team by using the super thanks button below the videos. Thank you for your support. Let's start if you are ready. The Pioneer reporting. Let's start with the latest developments on the Kherson front line. According to the latest reports, the Kherson front line is experiencing some very unusual developments. In particular, we're seeing a few reports about the Russian Air Force. As you know, the situation in the direction of Krynki is quite modern here. The Russian army is persistently carrying out operations to capture the region. According to recent reports, the Russian Air Force is also involved in these operations. But there is a big problem, because some sources claim that the Ukrainian air defense systems shot down one of the Russian warplanes. As we mentioned, this is still an allegation, therefore we are trying to verify it. However, it should be noted that this claim is also super strong. The Ukrainian bridgeheads in the region is of a great importance for both sides. Therefore, it is highly likely that the Russian Air Force launched an operation in the region and the Ukrainian troops responded to it. Apart from this claim, we observe that the situation in the region is quite stable. According to reports, Russian troops have continued their breaching operations against the Ukrainian army's bridgeheads on the eastern bank of the Dnieper River. However, the situation is largely stable. There are no current border changes between the two armies. Let me continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Belozerevka, Kherson and Avdiivka. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Olapristan, Oleshki, Pecheniivka and Kokhany. Let's continue our report by analyzing the latest developments on the Zaporizhia front line. According to the latest reports, the fighting on the routine sector of the Zaporizhia front line is still in favor of the Ukrainian armed forces. However, it's possible to say that it was a calmer day compared to the previous days. As we have mentioned many times here, the Russian armed forces have made some very noticeable tactical mistakes. In general, we see that the attacks are being carried out from the western direction of the town of Robotin. According to the information we have obtained from the Ukrainian sources, no deterioration in the defense lines here has been detected so far. We can talk about the similar situation in Verbov. Both armies continue to fight for the initiatives. There are reports that the Ukrainian army will launch an operation especially on Verbov in the coming days. We will see the accuracy of these reports if the operation starts. Let's continue with the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted units of the Ukrainian armed forces stations in Pyatykhatki, Novandriivka, Melitokmakcha, Arnovi and Guliapol. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Zherebyanki, Novoprokopivka and Verbov. Let's continue with the latest developments on the Donetsk front line. As we mentioned, one of the fiercest residential clashes between the two armies started in Avdiivka on the Donetsk front line. According to the latest reports, on the Donetsk front line following the shelling, units of the Russian armed forces carried out offensive operations on the southern outskirts of Novomikhailivka and in the Gorogorivka area. However, these attacks were largely repulsed by the Ukrainian defense forces. We also see a Russian army trying to break through the defenses of the Ukrainian armed forces in Nevelsky, Permyevsky and Severnoi. There were also clashes in the southeastern outskirts of the city center. However, the situation in these areas is largely stable. We don't see any signs of the Ukrainian army's positions being reached. Russian troops are also conducting offensive operations in the Stepnoy regions and near Novobakhmutovka, which is under the control of the Ukrainian armed forces. However, the situation here is similar. Russian troops have still not made any significant gains. Let's also look at the artillery activity in the area. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Ukrainian positions in Konstantinivka, Pobeda, and Maximalianivka. In turn, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Marinka, Donetsk, and the village of Krasnogorovka. Okay, let's continue by analyzing the latest developments on the Bakhmut front line. According to the latest reports, on the Bakhmut front line, the Russian armed forces continue offensive operations northwest of Klishchiivka. As we have stated many times before, there is not much possibility for the Russian troops to make a progress here at the moment, because while the Russian troops are attacking the hills from here, suppressive fires is coming. It is also necessary to take into account the meat attacks of the Russian army. In unsuccessful meat attacks, the losses of the Russian army were quite high, therefore the situation here also remains stable. On the northern flank Bakhmut, the pressure of the Russian armed forces has increased from Khoromov to Ivanyvskoye and the hills near Bogdanovka. However, no progress has been made so far. The Ukrainian army continues to hold its positions. Let's also look at the artillery activity in the region. According to the latest reports, artillery units of the Russian armed forces targeted Klishchiivka, Avdiivka, and Ivanyvskoye. On the other hand, artillery units of the Ukrainian armed forces targeted units of the Russian armed forces stations in Bakhmut city center, Yahidny, Borkhyivka, and Soledar. Let's also look at the Luhansk front line. According to the latest reports, on the Luhansk front line, units of the Russian armed forces continue to organize offensive operations near Bulgarovka, Yapolovki, Terny, Brestovnoye, and Sinkolovka. And we can say that there is a knot here too. The knot here is a little different. Both armies are trying to prove their dominance over each other. There are also fierce clashes here, which is also caused by the reconnaissance operations. However, there is no situation that changes the nature of the border line. Now tell me, what do you think? Do you think the Ukrainian troops will be able to hold their positions? What do you think about the Russian army's breakthrough operations? Do you think that the Russian army will be able to make any progress? Why are the Russian commanders still ordering the attacks after unsuccessful offensives? In whose favor do you think the fighting on the Luhansk front line will end? Let me know in the comments. You know that I read and I care about all the comments.